Frida Kahlo was born on July 6, 1907, in Coyoacán, Mexico City, Mexico, to parents Guillermo Kahlo and Matilde Calderon. She grew up in a big blue house. This later became known as the Blue House, or Casa Azul, and is now the Frida Kahlo Museum in Coyoacán. Her father was a German immigrant, and her mother was of Armenian and Spanish descent. Frida had 2 older sisters and 1 younger one.
During her childhood, Frida had poor health. She contracted polio at the age of 6 and was bedridden for 9 months. Frida attended the renowned National Preparatory School in Mexico City. There were only 35 female students enrolled, and she soon became famous for her outspokenness and bravery. It was there where she met her future husband, Diego Rivera. Rivera was a famous muralist. He painted a mural called The Creation on the school campus, and Frida often watched him paint. She later told a friend that she would marry him someday. That same year, Kahlo joined a group of students that shared her similar political and intellectual views. She fell in love with the leader Alejandro Gomez Arias. On a September afternoon, she traveled with him on a bus. The bus collided with a streetcar and Frida was seriously injured. A steel handrail impaled her through the hip. Her spine and pelvis were fractured, and this accident left her in a great deal of pain, both physically and psychologically. Frida was bedridden for the next 9 months and wore a full body cast. Because of this, she started painting. Frida did a lot of self-portraits. She once said, "I paint myself because I am often alone and I am the subject I know best." Her family and friends were very supportive of her work. Frida reconnected with Diego in 1928. They soon began a romantic relationship and got married within the next year. During their earlier years as a married couple, Frida had to move a lot based on Diego's work. They lived in places like San Francisco, New York City, and Detroit. Frida did not enjoy her days in the United States. During her time in Detroit, she painted the piece titled Henry Ford Hospital, where she lies on a hospital bed surrounded by some items floating around, including a fetus, a flower, a pelvis, a snail, all collected by veins. This painting was an expression of her feelings about her miscarriage in Detroit. Frida and Diego's marriage was not a usual one. They both constantly cheated on each other. Because of this, they got divorced. However, they soon remarried in 1940. Frida's work highlights a lot of her feelings towards Diego and herself during this time. Frida and Diego kept separate lives in houses while still being married together. In 1950, she was diagnosed with gangrene in her right foot. She became bedridden for the next 9 months and had several surgeries. Frida, however, continued to work and paint, and in the year of 1953, she had a solo exhibition in Mexico. Although she had limited mobility at the time, she showed up at the exhibition's opening ceremony by ambulance and celebrated in a bed the gallery had set up for her. A few months later, Frida had part of her leg amputated in order to stop the disease. Frida was in very poor health both mentally and physically, but despite her health issues, she had still been active in political movement. She showed up at a demonstration in Guatemala in July of 1954. This is her last public appearance. 1 week after her 47th birthday, she passed away in La Casa Azul. She was publicly reported to die of a pulmonary embolism, but there are speculations which say she died of possible suicide. Frida Kahlo's fame has been growing even after her death. La Casa Azul was opened as a museum in the year of 1958, and in the 70s, the interest on her work and life were renewed due to the feminist movement, since she was viewed as an icon of female creativity and queerness. Countless of books and movies have also been made about her. It is important to realize how, despite her personal challenges, her work continued to grow in popularity and grow in the way that she saw herself. And it is still growing decades after her death. Frida will always be an icon in art and Mexican culture. Her presence will persist, and so will her words. Frida Kahlo once said, "Ahí les dejo mi retrato para que me tengan presente todos los días y las noches que de ustedes yo me asenté. I'll leave you my portraits so that you will have my presence all the days and nights that I'm away from you." Frida Kahlo.